Let us discuss about corrosive bones of esophagus. So here we are discussing about corrosive bones, right? So whenever we say corrosive bone, these corrosive bones can be due to acids, or alkalis, right? So the reasons are the causative agents are acids or alkalis. Alkalis has got more penetrating effect, more penetrating effect than acids, and these are more destructive than acids, right? So the causative agents of corrosive bones of esophagus are acids and alkalis. Alkalis are more penetrating and destructive than acids. This you have to remember. Clear? And the severity of this bones, severity of the injury will depend upon the concentration, the amount of chemical substance that has been exposed, and the the quality of chemicals, right? So all these things matters when we see the severity of bones, right? So the severity will depend upon the concentration, amount, and the quality of the acids or alkalis. Clear? So these bones, or we can say injury, will happen in three stages. The first stage, that is acute necrosis. So the first stage is acute necrosis. The second stage is stage of granulation. Stage of granulation, right? The stage of granulation. Third one is stage of stricture formation. So first, when the esophagus is exposed to acid or alkalis, first it undergoes acute necrosis. Then granulation will take place. As all of us know, what is granulation? Granulation is nothing but vascular tissue, we can say. This granulation tissue, it consists of fibroblasts and blood vessels, right? So the first stage is necrosis, second stage is granulation, third stage is stricture formation. Clear? So these are the three stages of this corrosive bones. Then when a patient comes to you with these bones, how will you assess him? How will you manage him? That we have to know. Clear? So when a patient comes with you with these injuries, first we have to determine the type of chemical substance. That means either it is acid or alkali. Then we have to see whether there are any symptoms of SAP. Clear? Then we have to assess whether there is airway obstruction. Clear? Airway obstruction. Then we have to see whether there is mediastinitis. Clear? So when the patient ingests this chemical substance, this can either go into respiratory tract or into digestive tract, right? Or sometimes it can corrode the walls and go deep into mediastinum, sometimes even into abdomen. So anything can happen. We can't restrict to one thing. Anything can happen in this chemical bombs. Clear? So we have to check for all the symptoms of all the areas. Clear? So what will you check? We'll see for mediastinitis, and we'll also see peritonitis. And we'll also check for acid-base imbalance. So we have to assess the patient. When the patient comes to you, you have to see all these things, whether they are present or not. This will help you in managing the patient. Clear? So now we'll see how will you manage the patient. See, keeping all these things in mind, you have to manage the patient. You have to give, first we'll give symptomatic treatment. Then ultimately we'll try to remove the stitches. Clear? So first, how will you manage? When the patient comes to you, what you will first you do? You will first assess him. Then we'll do management. First, you have to hospitalize him. Then we'll look for whether there are symptoms of SAC, and we'll try to treat this SAC, right? And we'll also see for acid-base imbalance, right? And we'll try to correct it. We'll try to correct, and if there is definitely there will be pain, right? So we'll give symptomatic treatment for pain. And as I told you, he will inject, right? He usually injects acid or base. So we'll try to neutralize this injected acid or base with weak acids or weak base, right? So we'll try to neutralize the injected acid or base with weak acid or weak base. Clear? Then we'll give antibiotics, and these antibiotics are parental antibiotics. Parental antibiotics. And we have to feed him, right? We have to feed him. This feeding will be done by nasogastric tube. Okay, nasogastric tube. And after 2 days, we'll do esophagoscopy. Esophagoscopy. Why do we see? Why do we do this esophagoscopy? To assess the injuries. We want to see how far the injuries have injured the walls, right? We have to assess that injuries, right? For assessing these injuries, we'll use esophagoscopy, right? Then what we'll do? We want to prevent fibrosis, right? We have to prevent this fibrosis, because if we don't prevent this fibrosis, this leads to strictures. Then how will you prevent this fibrosis? This can be prevented by giving steroids. By giving steroids, right? So we'll give steroids. So we have given steroids, but still fibrosis has occurred. Then what we'll do? We'll try to remove this fibrosis. How will you remove this fibrosis? See, how will you remove fibrosis? This fibrosis can be removed by prograde dilation. Prograde dilation, right? Or we can remove it by retrograde dilation. Retrograde dilation, right? What is this prograde dilation? What is this retrograde dilation? So this is esophagus, right? This is stomach, right? Now if there is stricture here, we have passed esophagoscopy to remove this stricture. If it is not if we pass this esophagoscopy from upwards, then it is prograde dilation. If we pass this tube from downwards, that means from here, then it is retrograde. Retrograde. Clear? And this retrograde dilation is usually done with gastrotomy, right? First we'll pass a tube through stomach by, we'll first do gastrotomy, then we'll pass the tube, then we'll dilate the stricture. Clear? And if all these things are not worked out, then if these things fail to correct the stricture, then what will you do is we will do esophageal reconstruction surgery. Esophageal reconstruction surgery, right? So this is management. And you see, one more thing that we have to remember here is this patient will have to be followed lifelong follow. Clear? This is something about corrosive bones of esophagus. And one more thing that I forgot to tell you is, see, these corrosives, as I told you, this is due to ingestion of acids and bases, right? In children, this is usually accidental ingestion. In children, this is usually accidental ingestion. But whereas in adults, This is usually suicidal attempt. This is due to suicidal attempt. Clear? So this is the last point that I want to convey to you, and thank you for watching.